Hello everyone, it's Mike Levin on Friday, July 8th, about 7:45 p.m. and I'm on my way to meet Addie in the Catskills at her grandparents' place, and I'm just heading out now, and it's starting to drizzle a little bit like they said on the weather forecast, so probably the Coney Island fireworks are going to be canceled. So we'll hit that a different Friday night. That's one of the things on our plans. This weekend we'll play it by ear. She does have to be back in the city for a superhero class. More on that later. But tonight, tomorrow, and the morning of Sunday is play it by ear, and that's awesome. I like to keep it flexible, to not be confined by a schedule, and to have expectations on where I'm to be when, except of course to meet her, to pick her up, and to drop her off. Sometimes we'll do big wonderful adventures where we'll go out on some mission, and other times we'll just have lazy weekends where we might do Gravity Falls binge, which is one of her favorite, just hang out and relax pastimes, which I happen to love too, so that works out. And I guess today's nth video, I don't know how many I'm up to, but I'm on a roll. I guess I will admit to the fact I'm a vlogger. I have been a blogger before there's been blogging. I've been keeping actually written journals in one form or another since, 1988. Probably June, I would suspect. August, September. I was hired by Commodore right around then. The house I grew up in was getting sold, and I started apartment life, and I guess that started my path eventually to New York City. And the thought on my mind is how it's often really the very tiny things in life that make all the difference. We're all on paths, through some sort of, space, probably over time. And what do you call it? When you come to a crossroads and you could just tweak things a little bit this way or a little bit that way, it's two entirely different possible universes that you're bringing into being. One of them, which was potential, ceases to be the active timeline, and the other, which was only potential, starts to become your current existence. The things happening to you are going on because of that critical key moment where you made that conscious decision, taking thought and considering the situation, weighing the factors, and making a decision. And at the end of the day, that's probably just about the only thing keeping our world from being a deterministic, clockwork, Newtonian universe. There is true random, and I'm not saying that our conscious decisions are true random, but we do introduce an element of unpredictability into the particles that we represent in the greater system. Someone running a computer simulation of us might actually have some difficulty determining what's going to happen next at every one of those key critical instances where the game could go left or the game could go right. And maybe that's the whole point. After a while, impossible situations lead to impossible situations, such that you're eventually out at the sort of fractal edges of continually diverging possibility, so fuzzy and detailed and fine-grained that it effectively becomes impossible to compute. And I believe that is part of the ultimate plan and design, if there is such a thing, because if we as bright matter are just the frothy foam on the waves of dark matter, and we're that probabilistically small of a matter type that exists, then we are probably leading some sort of privileged existence in the grand scheme of things, whether it be known or unknown to any other things that are out there to be aware. We don't know. But I do entertain the possibility that's very much like the one expressed in Slaughterhouse-5, Kurt Vonnegut, that we are the eyeballs of experience for some sort of, fourth spatial dimensional zoo that has a wonderful time with the infinite variation that is us. So here I go, trying to convince everyone to program in Python. And I think that's a good idea, because it's these very small differences, these very small percent chances I might have gone this way and taking JavaScript or Java or Ruby as my primary language, or I could have gone this way and taken Python. And when you go this way and take Python, here I go with that bandwagon word again, you're jumping on a bandwagon that is very large indeed, and I believe is about to transcend becoming, it's going to be the first example of a language as significant as C was in its day, by virtue of the way it made Unix and the applications written for Unix portable between different hardware. That changed everything at this sort of fundamental level. Just the right abstraction to decouple software, now the computer science, arguably they invented computer science because it wasn't about hardware implementation, technical specialty anymore. It was about the higher level concepts that could be deconstructed into machine instructions and algorithms, but dealt with by humans at this much higher, easier to write, capable of being compiled down to highly efficient format. And we're at that sort of critical juncture again in human knowledge, where a new type of language is coming onto the scene, a language that is intended to be our primary spoken language to machines for the non-specialists, people who just have to learn to speak well to machines, for the everyday needs that might come up, like the same way we sometimes have to calculate percentages in everyday life. We don't need everything we learned in trigonometry and algebra and calculus, but sometimes we do need to calculate that percentage. So, look at programming in the same light. Teach kids young, introduce them to it through maybe the more visual ones like Blocky and Scratch, but then move them on to Python. And I'm gonna start making the case why in my, Series 2 of Introduction to Python, where Series 1 was on some older technology, and Series 2 is on Jupyter Notebook, and that is one of those tiny details that is going to make all the difference. Thanks for joining me. Hope to talk to you soon, and don't forget to hop onto that bandwagon.